Okay, can you also give Lieutenant Kuminato, I don't think it's the same situation as mine. I think he forgot his password. They're working on it, but if you could give them a call, Sandy would appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
You're live.
Okay. Hi, Commissioners. I apologize. I was unable to get in, and the sergeants gave me a new iPad. So Lieutenant Kuminato's having a bit of trouble, and they're helping him momentarily.
Commissioner Farrow said he'd be on tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay. Lieutenant Commissioner Farrow is with us. We have a quorum, but I'd still like to give Commissioner Kuminato a couple more minutes.
Certainly. Commissioners, I'm just going to step away for a moment and call Commissioner Kuminato. The sergeants were unable to contact him to help him with his difficulty. So I will be right back.
Okay.
Hi, Sandy. Sergeant Carlin Robinson did Frederick Jail. Okay, very good. Okay.
Danny,
Yes.
While we're waiting, quick question. Do you have any idea when we may be going back to regular meetings? Is there any talk of it or?
Yeah, I mean, and it ultimately it'll be up to us fairly soon,
Okay,
but yeah, and we can discuss that.
all right.
So commissioners, I just spoke with Sandy Cominato, and they're in the process of trying to get back in, but I think we could start the meeting if you'd like.
Sure thing. We're at 6:13. Okay, I'll call this regular board meeting of the Honorable Board of Police Commissioners to order. And we'll have a roll call of commissioners. Commissioner Cruz. We see you. We don't hear you.
Sorry, yeah.
That's okay. Commissioner Diaz,
Here,
Commissioner Farrow,
Present.
Commissioner Roach, and we have a quorum. The first item we're dealing with this evening is observing a moment of silence for retired Lieutenant David J. Hoyt, who passed away on Saturday, May 1st. Thank you. Next item is the acceptance of the minutes of the regular board meeting held on April 20th.
so moved.
There's a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Minutes are accepted. Next item is 3A, report from the Chief of Police. Good evening, Chief.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hi, Chief, how are you?
Good evening. I'm well, thank you. So, as you know, it's been getting warm. We have a lot more activity going on. People are coming out more. A lot of involvement, a lot of details that we have going on. As I have said in the past, we are still holding our strategic enforcement details to make sure that we are combating areas that have been identified as hotspots relative to shots fired incidents, cars parked in areas, trailers, etc. We've been getting a lot of different community concerns expressed to us that we have been addressing, including the dirt bike matter that we do know. I'm certain that we all hear while we're home, the dirt bikes in the areas. And so the mayor had requested that we have the task force that we had in place last year address these concerns, and they have started to. We actually were able to take 3 off the street yesterday, just last evening. As I know that, unfortunately, I apologize that we could not invite everyone to the graduation due to the COVID restrictions. The place where we had the graduation was only affording us 150 seats. And that included speakers, the recruit graduation class, their families, etc. So we can only extend one to each the Board of Police Commissioners, the council, etc. And that entry was offered to the chairperson. Thank you, Dan, for showing up. I really appreciate it.
Nice ceremony.
Thank you. We did graduate 16 officers for Bridgeport, 1 for Stratford PD. It's actually very pleasant to know that there are other departments throughout the state of Connecticut that recognize that we do have an academy, our very own Bridgeport Police Department Academy, which is certified by Post. Our requirements are all followed through Post, and they're the ones that come, they audit us, and audit all of the classes that are offered. And I'm very proud to say that a lot of the area chiefs in police departments, they always ask, hey, when's your next academy class starting? So to see if they can get some of their newer people. in our seats. And our academy class was able to do, unlike others, others were doing virtual, but I think it's important that when you are doing a entry level recruit class, that it be in person. And I really have to commend the work of the personnel of the Bridgeport Police Department that is assigned to the academy. I think they did a really great job in holding it down, especially with COVID issues, right? COVID has changed our lives, I think, forever. What I also wanted to make note of, we had some officers engaged in really honorable arrests. They are out there, they are actively working, engaging, trying to engage with the community. I will give you just a simple scenario. There's a landscaper on the East End doing some yard work, approached by 3 males. And at gunpoint, he was robbed at gunpoint, broad daylight. And within 24 hours, the 3 males, which happened to be 2 juveniles and 1 adult, were taken into custody. Still had his wallet on their person, and 2 firearms were recovered. So that is just one of the scenarios of what officers are doing out there. We also had last week, as the recruits were getting ready, they're getting ready to go into their field training as required by post. It's a 13-week training. And so as they're preparing for that, there was a week that they had in between graduation and actually going out into field training. They should be starting next week. And so I had sat down with one of the program managers from Liberations. We know that one of the things that we are focusing on is reinvigorating our community policing efforts and model here in the city of Bridgeport, knowing that at one point we had a very robust community policing team in patrol. I was a community policing officer once upon a time, and that we know that with things and changes and transitions, that sometimes these things are not as prevalent as we would like to see them. So what we did was, Liberations program is very focused. We have a MOU with them, very focused on substance use persons and persons with mental health concerns. And so we sat down, we brainstormed, we're like, what can we do for the community? What can you do? Like, how do we take this? We have the recruit class for a week, or the probationary police officers for a week. And how do we tie it in? How do we engage it? So we actually set up a week long. They went from Tuesday to Friday. They went to 4 different sectors throughout the city. The first one was at Washington Park. Second was at McCleavey Green. Third was at Nanago Park. And the 4th was over on Newfield Avenue. That was on Friday. And we had the recruit officers knocking on doors, inviting them to come out to see what options are available for the community, engage with the new officers that will be going into their communities as well. And it was a really great outcome. And in speaking with community members, the program that hosted and sponsored this event at no cost to the PD, it was just amazing to hear the positive feedback of the engagement and where we're trying to move the department forward into community engagement, and not as just a several amount of officers, but throughout the whole department. So I will say that on Friday, unfortunately, during one of our events just down the street, our officers apprehended a person that was selling edibles. And the edibles come in what looks like the cartoons, things that attract children, right? And there was weed in some of the bags, and then there were edibles, they look like gummy bears, right? And gummy worms. And these are things that a child that is walking in the area can be attracted to, right? So the officers, they had contact with someone, they were given information, went up to the location, party was standing on the sidewalk, tote bag open, exposing what was inside the bag. He had a full tote, a full grocery shopping bag that he had in his hand, a little over $1,100 on his person. And like I said, it was just about half a block of where we were, where there was such a presence of officers, and we were trying to do something for the community. But those are just examples of what the officers are doing, the fact that they are vigilant. And yes, we definitely know and understand. There was a shots fired incident over at Newfield Park on Saturday as children were out there. Not okay. Absolutely not okay. We know the impacts on children, and not only the children, but the people in the community. Unfortunately, the suspects were not located, but our detective bureau is looking into the incident to see if they can find any further details on it. One of the things I will tell you is that the Bridgeport Police Department, to further assist our investigations, NIBIN will, and Maddie's head went up. NIBIN, when shots are fired and we're able to collect the casings, NIBIN, it's a system that will be able to look at the grooves inside of the shell casing, detect them, and be able to compare to see if that firearm has been shot in other areas or even in different incidents within our department, within our city. So it kind of ties in, gives it a stronger case if someone is located. So we are actually looking at purchasing that piece of equipment for the city of Bridgeport. And we have sent out the shell casings to, we will be sending the shell casings out to the lab to see if that firearm was associated with anything else. We were actually doing quite well compared to some of the other surrounding big cities. One homicide is one homicide too many. We were at 4. We had an additional 2 at the After Hours Club, which is devastating. I offer my condolences to the family, if anybody is listening, and friends and family. So that is an ongoing investigation. Detectives are definitely working on that. And parties that I've been advised that the parties, the victims of that incident were not parties that lived necessarily in the city of Bridgeport, but that is an ongoing investigation that our detective bureau is looking into.
Okay, any questions for the chief?
Hi, Chief Percy.
Hi.
How are you?
Commissioner
Hi.
Roach, may I ask a question?
I think Anna piped in first, so we'll let Commissioner Cruz go first, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just had a question. When you mentioned the efforts to engage with the community in those 4 different sectors, what kind of positive feedback can you give us examples of that were given?
Absolutely. So we were very much welcomed, and I made it a point to go out as well, right? Because I want the new officers to get to know me and the vision, though you can say it in a classroom, but they don't know until you're actively interacting. I will tell you that the communities were those that were home, and even when we would see somebody walking their kid, we were like, hey, come on down, we'll give your kid a cheeseburger, and talked and gave them packets, and they were like, thank you so much. As a matter of fact, I literally had people within the different communities say to me, Chief Garcia, thank you for not forgetting us. Thank you for coming out here. Thank you for engaging. So I know that our communities do want this. And I really believe that our communities do appreciate the officers engaging with them.
Yeah, very important. And thank you to you and all the officers who've been doing that. It's awesome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Farrow?
I just had talking about an after or some kind of night spot or after party spot. That the incident took place this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Is that a legitimate club or spot, or is that just someone's hangout spot, or if you will, because that's
Right,
That's
so
the-
what
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're cutting off. I'm getting bits and pieces, but I think you asked me if that is a legitimate area, a legitimate location. Okay, so what I'm being told is that
Yes.
it is not. That's what I'm being told. So as of now, based on just the preliminary info, no. And I can tell you, so if I may add to that, I can tell you that part of what we have been doing, I think is important for you all to know this as well. Part of what we have been doing, and I know Ms. Martinez is going to be speaking on one of the locations where there were shots fired incident as well. And we have, like I said, we have the strategic enforcement detail. And what we do is we're having officers hired to work in some of these areas to combat like the shots fired, different concerns from the community, to include areas such as that. If we get a phone call and we're being told, and we know that there are several throughout the city that we have been focusing on, we'll set up at that location. We'll have officers at these locations to, number one, deter, number two, to gather information. And we also have collaborated with the fire department, with the health department, to see if what's the status of these locations. And then if let's say they have a food permit or whatever, they can be either fined or shut down. So we are working collaboratively with other divisions throughout the city to combat this. And we saw it a lot more during COVID, and you know, COVID, like I said, changed our lives and changed the way we do things. But the officers have been out there. And then there are some areas that I'm looking at that are demanding a lot of police attention, and I'm looking to see where are their permits, maybe certificate of occupancy. So we are together, united, working with each other to include fire.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Chief.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody representing the union here this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on. Internal Affairs Report, everybody's received. Were there any procedural questions with the Internal Affairs Report, or any comments? Okay, we'll move on to the Clerk's Report, status of pending matters. Lieutenant?
Yes, Lieutenant Cotto wanted me to just pass on to all of the commissioners that he is moving close to the accreditation process. There'll be a site visit, and with all of his hard work along with you, you know, it will be, you know, coming to fruition soon, but he wanted to pass that on to everyone that the accreditation first tier is happening. So we're happy about that. I'd like to set up some dates for our second step Barrows hearing that was canceled early May. I know that Tuesdays work, so we have June 8th. The June 15th is our next meeting, or June 21st, or any other suggestions.
Ready.
The 8th is fine.
Go with me.
Okay, so we'll schedule a second step Barrows for June 8th for 6 p.m. And at this time that I don't have anything else to report to the commission.
How many cases at second step do we have for?
3 citizens
for
that
3.
will be in.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lieutenant. Moving on to new business. The first item under new business is request from City Clerk Lydia Martinez to address the board regarding a shooting that occurred at Grant Street and Sheridan Street. Lydia, how are
Thank
you this
you.
evening?
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'd like to
Good
say thank you to
evening.
all of you, Commissioner, for giving me the opportunity to talk to you tonight. Usually I don't do this, but I think it's important for me to talk to you about this because I'm very concerned, and so is the community. The report that I have in front of me, well, I only have the number because they didn't give me the report. It's 21-27787. That's the Bridgeport report number. And it's about an aggravated assault with a firearm on Grand Street to the corner of Sheridan Street. On April 11th, I heard some noise, and I came down from my room, looked through my window, and I saw on the street many cars going up and down, and people too. I also saw 2 motorcycles. I want you to know that I did send a copy of this report to you for you to have with you. The gentleman who runs the business live across my house on Grand Street. I believe it's 101 Grand Street. When I called the police like 1:30 in the morning, and there was not a gunshot then, but I called the police. And about 5 minutes after that, I heard the gunshots. And so the police came quick because I had called them 211. But when the police arrived, the place was closed, the lights were off, and most of the people were gone. And they found 2 people hurt on the street. They were still alive. The people that were around there did about 60 gunshots, according to the detective, when I asked them the following day. And there were broken doors, windows, and a car across the street next to my house. So it was really, really, really scary. The club has been open for several years. We have made many phone calls about it. I know the police have come, but by the time they come, and by the knowledge that I think this person that owns the place have, it seems like, everything's okay and he's managed to cover up. And I don't know if you have reports on this yourself from other occasions, but that might be a good thing to look into it. I knew that a tragedy would happen because this has been going on and on and on and on. The residents are so scared, and they for years they complain and they don't know what to do. The problem also with the place is that when they come out on the street outside, they urinate outside, and the people in the community sees that. They have seen them doing sex acts out in the community. Next thing, they find broken bottles, condoms. So it's really, really very bad. And I believe this is an illegal place. I don't think it's a legal place. And when I talked to the detective the next day, they told me they were investigating. So what I would like for you to do, please, is to look into this. Make sure that if this is an illegal place, please close it. Please close it. This is a garage that he converted into a bar, okay? And it's killing us. The noise is killing us. And I really, 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 it's not what we need around here. This was very peaceful before these people came here. I also would like to ask the police department to send somebody around the place sometimes to watch what's going on and to endorse the noise ordinance. I know we have a noise ordinance, and I know sometimes things are not easy to endorse, but because the other people that live in the community, there's a store in the community, so they're picking up, with the same thing of loud music. So I really would appreciate for you to look into the noise ordinance and to look at the place to see if it's legal. And I don't know if you have already decided to close it or not, because I don't have those contacts with the police department. And when I asked for the report, it was not given to me. The actual report was not given to me because I was not the one that complained to the police in person. I did make the phone call to 911, but I didn't talk to them. So please, again, I want to say thank you to you for listening to me. I know that some of you know me, and I really care. I really care. I also want to be helpful, but with situations like that, I know the only people that could help us the most is the police department. Well, I want to thank you again and have a nice day.
Thank you,
Appreciate you
Lydia.
letting me speak.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I noticed the chief has already taken down some notes. Lydia, just a quick question. Who was the detective you spoke with?
I don't know. Then next day you had there about 10 detectives next day. Imagine
okay.
we had over 60 bullets. When I went into my neighbor, because that night I went outside and I went into my neighbor's house, there was a bullet on her living room on the stairs going up to the second floor. So and the other lady, she was up in arms, broken door, broken windows. So, but the detectives were there, and I believe the police is doing their job. But we really need to close this place. Please close this place. I don't think it's illegal. The detective tried to find him that day, the Sunday, but he didn't show up. So again, I don't know what else is happening, but I would appreciate it if you look into it.
So if I may,
Please.
Excuse me.
oh, I was asking permission to speak.
Go
Ms.
ahead,
Martinez, I totally understand. I totally hear what you say. I hear the frustration, the disappointment, and even the fear expressed by a lot of people within the different areas of the city. I will tell you that is being investigated. Obviously, I cannot say too much, but we have sent out the details there. We have made sure that there's presence. What I'm going to ask you, ma'am, and everybody on this link, to please tell your neighbors, your constituents to contact our dispatching center. Because a lot of times what happens is they'll reach out to other people and be like, this is happening. And okay, this is happening. And then 5 text messages later or emails later, then the next day is like, well, this is what I'm being told. And it's no longer happening, right? So we want our people within our community to make sure that they're calling CAD in our dispatching center. And I'm glad that you said that there was quick response.
Chief, they're calling
Susan,
all the time. They have sent a tape of people urinating and doing stuff out there. So the community is very involved making phone calls to the police department. I think that they might need to hear more from you and some of your police officers about, you don't want to tell me and you don't have to tell me, but I think to make them feel better, I don't know if there's a way that maybe some of the commission could come around and talk to all those neighbors that were affected by this situation, because they were affected. The doors,
absolutely,
the windows, the fires inside the house. So that will help a little bit because they're all up in arms.
Right. And what I will tell you, I know that the officers have been out there even after that incident has happened. It is one of the areas that is being focused on. And remember, I said we have joined collaborations with different divisions throughout the city. Yeah, we have definitely taken notice of the locations that are being brought to our attention. And we are focusing on enforcement throughout the city.
We want that place closed. It's an illegal place. We want it closed.
You know
Thank
what? I'm right there with you, Ms. Martinez. A legal place should be closed, should not be.
That's
Lydia,
right. Thank you.
Lydia, just,
Thank you.
and they're selling alcohol. There's no question about it at this
Yeah,
place.
they're selling
Okay.
food. They sell food. They sell
Well, I
everything
mean,
in
someone,
there.
in a phone call to the Department of Liquor Control, they have to investigate any complaint. I don't know if anybody's called them yet. I know sometimes the department keeps in contact with them also. But if you called Liquor Control, they would have to send someone down to investigate.
What the detective told me is that because of the shots that were there and the people that they harmed, that the police will put the complaint at the state level, and because I said we know the health department, you know, we could call it, you and I, we could go see the health department and send them there. But they said that the state is taking over the investigation. So I will appreciate if you guys really look into that to see if it's true, because we really need to close that place.
We have a,
Thank
we
you.
have a list of a couple of places, and I definitely, that is one of the locations, ma'am. Please don't feel that that is not being addressed. We are definitely looking into.
I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you to make sure that we do what we need to do, because we could work together. You know, some of us are residents and we know where to go and what to do, but we need to work together.
For sure. I
Thank you.
agree. You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Nice
for your.
talking to all of you. Appreciate
Lydia.
your attention to me.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, we have a request, from a Mr. John Fernandez, owner of Crane and Rigging at 900 Housatonic Avenue, to address the board regarding a safety concern in installation of a traffic sign. Mr. Fernandez, good evening. You're probably going to have to hit your mute button.
Sorry about that. Good evening.
No, that's okay. We've been provided with the communication you had with Lieutenant O'Donnell, but I'll let you speak to it if you want to say a few words at it before we move forward.
Sure. Thanks for having me here and listening. It sounds a little petty based on some of the other stuff I heard, but it is a safety concern for us and my drivers. The trucks park so close, there's no visual. And when I try to pull out with my trucks, I have to be out past the yellow line with my nose before I could see around them. And this isn't like a short-term parking. These are people that are parking for sometimes weeks at a clip. Sometimes they drop their trailers, they leave them there. They park so close to my gate. Sometimes I can't make a right-hand turn out of my gate with my trailers. And these aren't local businesses or anything. They're all out of state. This area is not really made for like a commercial truck parking. There's lines out there for the individual cars, and at the end they're teed off. Well, these trucks are so wide they go beyond them, so they're slightly obstructing traffic when they're parked on both sides. You can't get by with two trucks simultaneously. Somebody has to pull over and take turns going through. And I understand if it's a business that needs a delivery and they have to, they have to obstruct for a little bit. They're doing business here, but these people are using Housatonic Avenue and Wells Street as a parking lot. And it's not local businesses. These are out-of-state trucks that have no business here, but to strictly use this as a parking lot, and they wouldn't get away with it in any other town but Bridgeport. And that's really all I have to say.
You have issue pulling in and pulling out, and you're looking for no truck parking signs.
On the right and left of my driveway, yes, sir.
Right, okay. Lieutenant?
Yes.
Quick question.
Sure.
What would be the appropriate request for no truck parking signs or no parking with arrow signs, no parking here to the other side of the driveway having the same, and whatever if it's 10 feet or 12 feet?
I would recommend absolutely no parking on either side. And then enforcement of the illegal out-of-state trailers as well.
And that seems to
Mr.
be.
Fernandez, yep. How do you feel about that? I think we should go with absolutely no parking versus just focusing on tractor trailers. I think it would address your many issues, and I will get that request off tomorrow.
I mean, it sounds good to me. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to go to the extreme of not allowing cars to park on either side. I mean, it's just the tractor trailers hinder the vision and obstruct it going out. You can't see around them pulling out of the gate. And it's not just for short term, but
Sir, the city traffic engineer will probably go on site to take a look, and he'll give his opinion.
Sure.
But maybe we communicate with him the option either or, Lieutenant, if that's okay.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, Commissioner, that I will
Meanwhile,
adopt his recommendation.
sure. Meanwhile, it appears you have another issue, although, you know, these trucks not only block your driveway, they tend to be abandoned. And these trucks have been parked there for what kind of length of time are we talking about?
Can I ask a question?
Excuse me, I just did. I'm just waiting for an answer from
Oh, okay,
Mr.
sorry.
Fernandez.
It broke up partially. I didn't get the whole
Okay,
entire.
well, how long have these trucks been parked there? Are we talking a few days, a week at a time?
Sometimes for 2 to 3 weeks at a clip,
Okay.
sometimes for a week at a clip. Sometimes just overnight, but, you know, multiple days mostly. They seem to have moved over to Wells Street, focused more on Wells Street recently. But that's not I mean, it's not good for the other businesses, but it's not bad for me right now if they're over there, but it does cause a traffic obstruction there when they're
Okay.
parked on both sides.
Do you have a pen with you right now, sir? I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you an email address.
Go ahead.
Daniel.Roach, and just like it reads on the screen, ROACH, and that's at bridgeportct.gov. And if you have a truck, if you can pass along the license plate, the amount of time the truck's been there, it only needs, if it's longer than 24 hours, it's too much. But what'll happen is the department will tag the truck and then subsequently tow it if it doesn't move.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Cruz, please go ahead.
No, I apologize. I apologize. I do have a question. One of my shortcuts is right through Wells Street onto Housatonic Avenue in town. And so I'm well familiar with trucks parked on both sides of Wells Street, but they park underneath the viaduct. As a matter of fact, just this past week, I drove by and I saw at least half a dozen trucks parked between both sides. And I thought, what an ideal location. They're not bothering anyone, but obviously you are on Housatonic Avenue. I didn't notice they park on Housatonic Avenue as well.
They do.
Is it 900 Housatonic Avenue? I see your address on the memo. That's not far from the Department of Social Services. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's slightly on an angle across the street. We're right next door to the city of Bridgeport's yard. We're an adjacent property. So
Okay.
our front gate is directly across from Wells Street. If you were able to drive straight down Wells Street, you drive right into our gate.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. But as you mentioned, you said you don't foresee a problem them parking on Wells Street as long as they're not blocking your entrance. Am I correct?
Well, I'm sure the other businesses don't care for it, but I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't think the other businesses appreciate it, but I mean, I don't know if they're complaining like I am, but
No, and I'm referring to, they're actually under the highway, under the viaduct. There are no businesses there. Not where they park.
no.
Am I correct? Okay. So I'm just referencing that, Commissioner Roach, because if you're gonna put signs, it's where it's obstructive to businesses coming in and out versus a location such as that. I mean, I guess if they're out of state, I get it. We can't say they don't belong here, but they need a place where they can rest their head. I imagine if they're traveling through.
Technically, anything over 24 hours is grounds to have a
Yeah, and I'm
vehicle
not
tag.
familiar with the length of time. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions for Mr. Fernandez? Okay, thank you, sir. And please feel free to send me along that information.
Okay, thank you very much.
tomorrow will be fine if you'd like to get that along. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Roach,
Yes, sir.
I just want to know that I got out the meeting late, and I appreciate you guys. Not let me hold you up. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Maddie. You were fading just a little bit there.
I said I got here late.
Oh, no, not a problem. And I'm sorry. For the record, Commissioner Cuminato is with us. My apologies for not noting that earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, we have nothing under old business or correspondence. We have one letter of appreciation to Central Command, behalf of Sergeant Ronald Jersey and several officers for a card and gift that was sent to a Mr. Ken Kelly, World War II veteran, back on February 23rd of this year. Nothing under widow's pension. Moving on, under 9A, we have a request from the city traffic engineer to approve the following traffic request. This has to do with Seaside Village. A couple years ago, this board approved 2 streets to become one-way, one coming in off of Ironston Avenue and one coming back out. I forget which one was Sims and the other one was Cole, I believe. Lieutenant, you're our Seaside Village expert.
Yeah, that is correct.
Well, we approved it and when the gentleman who does the installations for public facilities subsequently made it down to Seaside Village, and he was approached by somebody who identified themselves as a board member of Seaside Village and told him, no, we decided we didn't want it. A couple of months ago, I received a phone call from a couple of board members that were asking, hey, we know this was approved. What happened? And found out that one of their own board members had chased the guy away. They, in fact, wanted the work done. We did make a couple of changes to allow for a little bit more in the safety department. The original had Sims one way and one direction, and we just reversed it. Anyway, they were spoke with the city traffic engineer. They were installed also, and the reason the main reason we made them one way to begin with was allow for parking on both sides of the street. Regardless, the city traffic engineer said for us to go ahead and have it done, but it just suggested that it was brought before the board to explain the changes on it. So unless, I don't know if this requires approval or it's just a simple case of notification.
So Commissioner, I believe it would just be notification that we did notify the board of this matter.
The residents there are very happy that this finally took place. Parking is an issue. When Seaside Village was first built, a lot of the residents didn't have cars, or they may have had one per household, that kind of thing. And of course, times have certainly changed since the place was first built. So thank you for your indulgence there. We have next item is a request of the city traffic engineer not to approve the following traffic requests: the installation of a handicap parking sign on 540 Ogden Street. And it's a question of there being availability for off-street parking, which is why he is not recommending. And we have,
Commissioner,
yes,
I provided the entire packet, for you, the original letter, as well as the social services application that you should have in front of you to review this. There is off-street parking, but the application says that Ms. Baez is not allowed to use it.
do we have, and I apologize, do we have something from the landlord that says that?
It's on the application, Commissioner,
Okay.
that she filled out.
But nothing from the landlord, and I apologize, I didn't go through it, but
No.
on the app, she's explaining that she's not allowed to.
Yes, and.
But usually we have something from the landlord.
Yeah, the traffic engineer stating that, she's allowed to park in the driveway, but clearly on the application, she's stating that she can't.
Mhm.
She's not allowed to by the landlord. So that's why she's asking for a handicap parking space at 540 Ogden Street.
I would, just a suggestion to the commissioners, if we approve her request, which is not what the city traffic engineer is looking for, obviously, but there will be ample time between now and when the sign is actually installed. Maybe we can, there might be a way to contact the landlord directly to see if that's in fact the case. And if it's not, and she does have permission to park off the street, we can always move to reconsider at our next meeting. Well, it sounds all well and good, but of course, getting a hold of the landlord might be a different story. Any other thoughts?
No, I think you're correct, Commissioner Roach. That's what should be done.
So that would be a motion to deny the request of the city traffic engineer, which in effect would approve the handicap parking sign at 540 Ogden Street. Is there a motion to that effect?
No move.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Right.
Okay, that motion is carried.
Panic.
We do have an addendum. There's a request from the city traffic engineer to approve the following traffic request: the installation of a stop control sign along Hastings Street and Cogswell Street. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Unless we have anything further, I would now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Good night,
care.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Good
Lieutenant,
night.
Hey, guys.
Aye.
if you think of it, Lieutenant, can you just give me a buzz tomorrow?
Sure,
Okay, thank you. Good
absolutely. Yep, thank you.
night, folks.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Fernandez.
Yeah, Mr. Fernandez.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, sure. You have my email address, correct?
I do. Thank you
Okay, very good.
much.
Feel free, please. All right, bye now.
Take care.